Are you looking for the best Motorola phones? In this video, we will look at some of the 5 best Motorola phones on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description. So make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Number 1. Motorola Razer Plus. If you're going to buy a Motorola and money isn't much of a concern, it should be a statement phone like the Razer Plus 2024. This 3rd-gen folding flip smartphone, 7 out of 10, Wired recommends, is much more refined, adding features you've come to expect in a modern-day handset, like an IPX8 water resistance rating that keeps it safe from dips in the pool and a bright 165Hz OLED screen that is easy to read in sunny conditions. And yes, you can flip open the phone to answer a call and flip it shut to end it. When it's closed, the enlarged 4-inch OLED cover screen can show you notifications, apps, and handy widgets to check the weather, calendar events, and news. It even lets you play some fun mini-games. You can also use the superior primary cameras, which would typically be on the back of the phone but are now at the front, to snap selfies and see previews on this external screen. They're some of the sharpest selfies you'll snap. Open it up and you have a 6.9-inch screen that functions like a standard phone. There's still a crease on the screen where the device folds, but I didn't find it annoying. It's powered by Qualcomm Snapdragon 8's Gen 3 chipset, a slightly lesser performing processor compared to the flagship Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 found on other high-end Android devices. That said, performance was smooth for me, thanks to the 12 GB of RAM, even when playing games. You get other standard fare accoutrements like NFC for tap-to-pay via Google Wallet, wireless charging, and 256 GB of internal storage. Number 2. Motorola Razer. This is the cheapest folding phone you can buy in the US, and you'll likely see it dip to $500 in a few months. Compared to the Razer Plus, the Razer, 7 out of 10, Wired recommends, has a slightly smaller front screen. You can't see as much information at a glance, but it's still plenty big enough to view some apps, notifications, and access widgets. Inside is a similar OLED 6.9-inch screen with up to a 120Hz refresh rate. It retains the ultra-wide instead of the telephoto, and the camera system is overall solid, not horrible, not amazing. The 4,200 mAh battery does last longer than the Razer Plus, though the device falls short in performance. Powered by the MediaTek Dimensity 7300 with 8 GB of RAM, I just encountered more sluggish behavior that at times made it annoying to use. Number 3. Motorola Edge. If you're looking for a smartphone around the $500 mark, I'd first steer you toward the Google Pixel 8a. Not your jam. Then Motorola's 2024 Edge is a pretty good alternative. It's slightly more expensive at $550, but you get a large 6.6-inch AMOLED screen with a 144Hz screen refresh rate and speedy performance thanks to the Qualcomm Snapdragon 7's Gen 2 chipset. It's not a flagship chipset, but enough to deliver snappy app launches and lag-free gameplay. It has all the basics from NFC, so you can pay with your phone via Google Wallet, plus an IP68 water resistance rating, ensuring it won't succumb to a drop in the pool. It supports wireless charging, comes with 256 GB of storage, and packs some pretty loud Dolby Atmos stereo speakers. I used it as my daily phone for 2 weeks and it performed remarkably well. The 5,000 mAh battery comfortably lasts a full day with average use and often can go well into the second day before a top-up. Use the Edge heavily and it's firmly in the charge once-a-day territory. I do have a few gripes though. The Edge uses a so-called waterfall display, where the glass on the front curves into the edges for a more immersive look. It certainly looks fancy, but I've had several moments where my fingers holding the phone's edges disrupted an action I was trying to complete with my other hand. This has long been an issue on phones with curved screens. It's easy to get used to and adjust your grip quickly, but it's annoying. Number 4. Motorola Moto G Power 5G 2024. This is the best Moto G phone Motorola has ever made, 8 out of 10, Wired recommends. For under $300, you get a lovely phone with a nice vegan leather textured back that resists fingerprints. The 6.7-inch LCD is sharp and bright, and you get a fingerprint scanner, a 3.5mm headphone jack, and even wireless charging. It's almost unheard of to see wireless charging on a sub-$400 smartphone, but here we are. More surprising is how this low-priced Moto G finally supports NFC, meaning you can tap to pay anywhere it's supported. Ditch the cable and the wallet. The Moto G Power 2024 is powered by MediaTek's Dimensity 7020 chipset with 8 GB of RAM. While you will see some slowdowns here and there, it's generally smooth sailing. I used it for nearly a month with no qualms, juggling between my favorite apps, navigating, streaming music, and taking pictures. The 5000 mAh battery doesn't last as long as previous Moto G Powers. You can easily get a full day out of it, and a little extra if you're conservative. The camera system consists of a 50-megapixel main camera and an 8MP ultra-wide, and they're adequate. It can take some decent pictures even in low light. Make sure you use night mode. But in general, these photos aren't going to knock your socks off. The problem. While it has everything you need all at a low price, this phone will only get one Android OS update, to Android 15, later this year or early in 2025. It'll still get 3 years of security updates, so while that means the phone will stay patched and secure, you won't get new Android features past a year. There's also more bloatware on this device than ever before, but at least much of it is easy to uninstall or disable. It comes with 128 GB of internal storage, but you can upgrade that thanks to a microSD card slot. Number 5. Motorola Moto G Stylus 5G. The Moto G Stylus doesn't feel drastically different from the Moto G Power. It's just as nice with the vegan leather back and delivers relatively smooth performance with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 6 Gen 1 chipset and 8 GB of RAM. Sure, there are some hiccups here and there, particularly when you juggle between apps, but it's an otherwise snappy phone. For $100 more than its sibling, you do get some extra perks. Namely, the stylus. You can pull it out of the bottom of the phone to jot notes, sign documents, or doodle when bored. Motorola doesn't have decent palm rejection, so don't expect comfortable sketching sessions on this handset, but it's handy to have around for those reasons. I eked out slightly better battery life, despite the same 5000 mAh capacity as the Moto G Power 2024. It comfortably lasted a full day with heavy use, and a day and a half for average use. There's still wireless charging, a headphone jack, NFC for contactless payments, and the same size 6.7-inch screen, though here you're treated to a superior OLED panel that offers deeper blacks and richer colors. The screen has a 120Hz refresh rate, just like the Moto G Power. Other upgrades include a bump to 256 GB of internal storage, dual stereo speakers, and a nicer camera system. A 50MP main camera with a 13MP ultra-wide, plus a 32MP selfie camera. The cameras are better than what you get on the Moto G Power, with more vibrant colors and sharper details, especially with the ultra-wide. However, it's still not as good as the Google Pixel 8a.